Does development truly hold the key to resolving global inequality, or could it be contributing to the issue? This crucial inquiry forms the backbone of Arturo Escobar's insightful work, Encountering Development, the Making and Unmaking of the Third World. In this influential publication, Escobar invites readers to critically examine the conventional Western attitude towards development. He argues thoughtfully that dominant strategies often risk reinforcing power discrepancies and cultural dominance, while inadvertently causing environmental Escobar induces a deep reconsideration of our understanding of development, suggesting that it can sometimes serve as a conduit for imposing Western ideologies and frameworks on the global South. In this section, we will explore tangible examples from Arturo Escobar's Encountering Development, the Making and Unmaking of the Third World. These instances will illuminate the actual impact of Western development initiatives. To begin, we will examine the scenario of large-scale agricultural ventures undertaken by international agencies across Africa. Though these efforts are typically aimed at bolstering food security, they unfortunately often result in the upheaval of local farmers, a shift away from indigenous farming methods, and the establishment of single-crop farming systems. This scenario leads to an amplified power differential and a form of cultural dominance, as local wisdom and techniques are supplanted by Western agricultural approaches. Next, we will focus on a specific nation in the global South, let's say Bolivia. Here, the conversion of water resources to private ownership in the early 2000s, a strategy supported by Western-centric development organizations, resulted in notable societal discord. This particular case indicates how development, cloaked in the promise of modernization and efficiency, frequently introduces Western beliefs and structures, occasionally with disastrous outcomes. Finally, we will look at the sidelining of indigenous knowledge and customs as a result of development initiatives. In many regions of the global South, age-old medicinal practices have been overshadowed by Western pharmaceutical methods. This shift has not only interrupted local health systems, but also put biodiversity at risk as medicinal plants give way to cash crops. These examples offer a snapshot of the real-world impact of the issues Escobar brings to light in his book. We will further explore these themes as we delve into the chapters of Encountering Development. Let us delve deeper into the various sections of Encountering Development, the Making and Unmaking of the Third World, penned by Arturo Escobar. Each chapter of the book unveils an exceptional point of view on the idea of development, thus making it an intriguing read. Chapter 1 serves as a preface, laying the groundwork for the critical review of development. It familiarizes the readers with the predominant narratives and practices of development while sketching Escobar's critical review. Tracing its lineage back to colonialism and theories of modernization, Chapter 2 unravels the historical genesis of development, thereby building a foundation for the ensuing critiques. Chapter 3 dissects the lexicon used in development dialogue, throwing light on the power dynamics and implications for third-world countries, while challenging the economic-centric view of development. Chapter 4 brings forth a scrutiny of the ideologies steering development projects and policies. It throws light their limitations, environmental outcomes of traditional development, and underlying assumptions of the concept of the Third World in Chapter 5. The latter advocates for a paradigmatic shift in development and a more detailed understanding of diversity and complexity. In Chapter 6, we find exploration of forms of resistance to dominant development paradigms and glimpses of alternative visions and practices germinating from local communities and grassroots movements. Chapter 7 takes us back to development discourses, but this time through the prism of gender and environmental justice. It accentuates the intertwined struggles of social and ecological justice while laying out the core lessons from the book. Chapter 8 scrutinizes the effects of globalization on local economies, cultures, and environments, and underscores significance of place-based approaches to development. The final chapter, Chapter 9, encapsulates the key arguments and insights of the book, offering reflections on the future of development theory and practice. As we journey ahead, we will decode the structure of Escobar's book, investigate the historical roots of development, and delve deeper into his critique. Keep following. As we explore Escobar's analysis of development in depth, we must comprehend the framework of his book. This work is segmented into 9 sections, each offering a distinctive insight on the idea of development. The initial chapter sets the premise for the development critique, acquainting the reader with the prevailing narratives and methods of development, while presenting Escobar's analysis. The following section, The Inception of Development, investigates the historical roots of development, tracking its lineage to colonialism and modernization theories. The subsequent chapter, Discourses of Development, scrutinizes the terminology and development dialogue, emphasizing the power dynamics and repercussions for third world nations. Development narratives, or making the most of blueprint development, the fourth section, scrutinizes the ideologies steering development initiatives and policies, underlining their boundaries. Fifth chapter, The Quest for the Third World, challenges the presumptions underlying the concept of the third world, advocating for a more refined understanding of diversity and intricacy. The sixth segment, Development, Resistance and Alternative Visions, explores forms of defiance against dominant development models and highlights alternative visions and methods arising from grassroots movements and local societies. The penultimate chapter, Women and the Environment, revisits development dialogues from the viewpoint of gender and environmental equity, underscoring the intertwined battles of social and ecological justice. The next chapter, Globalization and the Politics of Place, studies the effects of globalization on local economies, cultures, and environments, stressing the necessity of place-based approaches to development. The concluding chapter encapsulates the book's significant arguments and insights by offering contemplation on the future of development theory and practice. Stay us as we unravel the historical roots of development in the forthcoming scene. The speaker commences with a thorough dissection of the historical roots of the development sector. The way the post-Second World War geopolitical ebbs and flows gave birth to what we now term as the Third World. This construct, albeit unintentionally, laid the groundwork for a recurring cycle of dependency and lagging growth. Escobar argues that this creation is not solely economic or political in nature, but extends to cultural aspects as well, frequently resulting in the sidelining of native knowledge and traditions. Next, Escobar sheds light on the financial aspects of development. He dissects our overdependence on economic indicators such as gross domestic product, suggesting they offer a distorted comprehension of progress and wealth. He maintains that this financially focused perspective fails to account for vital elements of well-being, including social justice and ecological balance. Escobar then seamlessly shifts towards discussing the environmental impact of traditional development methods. He delicately highlights how the incessant quest for expansion can inadvertently result in environmental deterioration, disproportionately affecting communities that rely extensively on their natural habitats for sustenance. Ultimately, Escobar champions a transformation in viewpoint. He suggests adopting more interactive and community-centric strategies for progress, giving precedence to native wisdom and cultural cognizance. He makes case for a model where progress is not enforced but collaboratively shaped with the communities which it seeks to uplift. In conclusion, Encountering Development, the Making and Unmaking of the Third World, serves as a critique on conventional development paradigms, advocating for a fairer and more sustainable methodology. It contests the vision of development as a universal panacea, drawing attention to its hidden ramifications on power structures, cultural heterogeneity, and ecological well-being. The book also creates a convincing argument for alternative, engaging models of growth, which are entrenched in local environments and honor diversity. Arturo Escobar's work is an insightful journey into development studies, inspiring action, and subtly reminding us that sometimes the solution can also contribute to the problem. In Encountering Development, the Making and Unmaking of the Third World by Arturo Escobar, we discern the importance of scrutinizing prevailing development paradigms, acknowledging their limitations and unforeseen outcomes. This stands as a significant takeaway from our delving into this compelling read. It primarily imparts the necessity of scrutinizing fundamental presumptions, power relations, and cultural predispositions frequently imbued in conventional development paradigms. It encourages contemplation on the identity of those that delineate development and the interests it caters to. It underscores the urgency for more diverse, participatory, and context-aware forms of development. Such models honor local wisdom, prioritize local requirements, and actively integrate local communities into the decision-making mechanisms. It also sheds light on the correlation of social, economic, and environmental factors. Development, it reminds us, transcends economic progression, and encompasses social fairness and environmental preservation. Lastly, it underlines the need for humility and introspection when tackling intricate global issues, nudging us to perpetually challenge our beliefs, learn from our blunders, and remain receptive to different viewpoints and concepts. To summarize, Encountering Development isn't merely a critique of development. It's an appeal to reimagine our strategy to development. It proposes lending an ear to disregarded voices, honoring cultural diversity, and nurturing partnerships grounded in mutual respect and unity. It prompts us to remember that development isn't something we enforce on others, but a collaborative endeavor we undertake with them. Published over 2 decades ago, Encountering Development, The Making and Unmaking of the Third World by Arturo Escobar, remains strikingly pertinent in today's context. The book's critique of Western-focused development models, often giving precedence to economic growth over social equality and environmental well-being, still holds weight as we confront climate change implications, income disparity, and other international predicaments. Additionally, the emphasis on the crucial role of local knowledge and participation in equitable and sustainable growth is increasingly acknowledged. It underscores the principle that local communities are not mere beneficiaries of development, but vital contributors offering invaluable insights, remedies, and innovations. Furthermore, the book's intersectional analysis, underscoring the intertwined nature of socio-economic and environmental issues, is in sync with current sustainable development and social justice debates. It underlines the necessity for integral and comprehensive strategies to deal with these challenges coherently. Another noteworthy aspect of Encountering Development is its critique of neoliberal globalization, often implicated in increased inequality, marginalization, and environmental decay. This critique is particularly significant in the present times as we observe the rising dissent against neoliberal policies and the pursuit of more inclusive and alternatives. The book also delves into exploring alternative development visions, emphasizing social justice, environmental conservation, and cultural diversity, a relevant and vital contribution to ongoing discussions on the future of development. The narrative prompts us to reconsider development as a diverse and fluid process influenced by local scenarios, cultures, and hopes, rather than a rigid universal solution. To conclude, Encountering Development remains a potent reference for those intrigued by development, social justice, and sustainability. It encourages us to scrutinize dominant development paradigms and to consider more encompassing, ethical, and sustainable ways to tackle global issues. As we progress, we examine the critiques leveled at Encountering Development, The Making and Unmaking of the Third World. Although Arturo Escobar's work has garnered significant praise and remains pertinent in the modern era, it is not without its detractors. The crux, the argument centers on Escobar's robust challenge of conventional development paradigms, but a perceived lack of practical alternatives. This raises concerns about the real-world feasibility and execution of his ideas. In addition, some academics that Escobar's dissection of mainstream development dialogues leans heavily towards deconstruction, rather than furnishing new applicable models. This focus on critique could potentially leave the audience feeling disoriented, without a discernible way forward. It's also been pointed out that Escobar's emphasis on the shortcomings of traditional development projects may inadvertently neglect the occasions when such initiatives have been successful. This could distort the overall picture, underplaying the positive effects of some development programs. The evaluation of globalization in Escobar's work is another point of contention, with claims of oversimplification of the intricate process of global economic amalgamation and its influence on local economies and cultures. This critique implies that the book might not encompass the diverse aspects of globalization and its various ramifications. Lastly, the theoretical foundation of Escobar's analysis has been challenged, with suggestions that a more solid theoretical base could bolster its argumentative claims. In summary, while Encountering Development has made a substantial impact on development studies by questioning the prevailing narratives and viewpoints, it has its fair share of critical feedback. These critiques invite a closer look at the book's theoretical construct, analytical breadth, and pragmatic validity, urging us to scrutinize the work through a nuanced lens.